don't trust words, trust wallets. So monitor the behavior of best customer. You may actually have people say, "This your car wash is amazing. I'm super loyal. I'll always be coming here. I've come here for 30 years." And then you go on Yelp and they've given you a 2-star review because the last time, there was a speck left on the driver's seat.
Well, Mike, so one of the things we're going to focus on first then will be the idea of this simplifying kind of business finances. And I geeked out a little bit on your NFN model that you had shared recently. I know it was either maybe on LinkedIn or if it was another podcast you had done, but this idea about kind of cutting through the noise to manage your finances effectively, maybe through that NFN model or otherwise. But can you kind of give us your kind of your thoughts on that, how to approach just things from a simplicity perspective?
Yeah. So when it comes to operating a business, I think one of the challenges is we get overwhelmed with the finances. There's so many numbers and accountants, and I'm not being accusatory here, but I kind of am. Tell us, what's your cash flow statement look like? What's your income sheet? Tie that into your metrics. I need to know the OCR, supposedly the most critical number, the operating cash ratio. And to the number of entrepreneurs I spoke to, none of them know what any of that stuff is, including myself. It's overwhelming. I know I have customers today or I don't. I know I have money in the bank or I don't. And it's pretty much how I manage my business because otherwise it's putting out fires, addressing issues, managing employees, and so forth. So we need to get to the essentials of what an entrepreneur does. And the key tip here is don't try to change your behavior, channel your behavior. So I'd ask anyone who owns a car wash, I'd say, when you are managing your daily operations and want to see how you stand on cash and if you can afford to pay your bills or not, et cetera, what do? People will say generally, I log into my bank account.
Yeah.
Well, we want to channel that. In traditional accounting, we're told don't look at your bank account. That doesn't reflect where your business is. Look at all these complex statements. And I'm saying don't try to change. Let's channel. So keep logging to your bank account, but we are going to set up a really simple system at your bank account to instigate the change we need for the business operation itself or the finances. And how we do this is we set up multiple accounts at your bank with a pre-intended use. So a car wash goes through a lot of supplies. You have cleaning agents and other stuff like that. There's mechanical parts, things break down and wear out. We need to replenish that frequently. So we may have an account called cleaning supplies, for example. Other ones may be repairs and parts. Now, when income comes in for the day, and just for round number sake, let's say we made $1,000 today. That $1,000 that came in, I don't have $1,000 to spend on cleaning supplies necessarily. What we're going to do is divide it up, usually on a percentage basis, to all those accounts. And you'll have an account for payroll, for example. And you may realize, well, $500 of that has to go to payroll today. And 100 of that has to go to profitability for my organization. I started this car wash to be profitable for myself. And after I do this pre-allocation, I may see, oh, I have $75 for those cleaning supplies, not 1,000. So it gives us instant perspective. What I'm basically saying is this is the envelope system. This is nothing new. This has existed since the birth of money. I mean, it's been around forever. I'm just saying, as a business owner, we need to apply this at our bank. And that's the key secret. Is at our bank, it intercepts where we're naturally going. We're channeling a behavior that we already have and driving to an outcome we want, which is better money management.
You mentioned that that's something that, we would put the ownership on the operator in the top line. Like that's their responsibility to kind of look at this as a solution. But there's all these other people though that kind of flow up to the idea of how to make the business successful. So just kind of walk us through a little bit about, hiring for the right reasons. Like you said, basic, this is not new, but the retaining for the top talent is just really critical.
It's really critical, and there's some secret ways to do it. I do want to actually acknowledge the accountant one more time in a positive way. So I kind of bash them because they're one of the talented folks around you. When it comes to the detailed numbers, when as an owner you're looking at the top level as you shared, you're going to go to that accountant and say, "Hey, dig in deeper and interpret this for me." So that's your consigliore, if you will. Now, other top talent you have could be people working the line, so to speak. How do you get great people? Well, the first thing is you can use a technique that's called giving authority or control. So this is research done by a guy named John Pierce back in the 1980s and found that if we want our employees to act like owners, there's three elements that elevates people's performance. Inherently, this is my research indicates this too, everyone is an A player. It's just, are they an A player in their current capacity? So If I interview you guys, are you an A player? Yeah. But the question is at what? And maybe not your current company. Maybe you need to go elsewhere, but everyone has talents. So we have to find out, each of these people have talents. When we do, we give them authority. Authority means the ability to have some control and direction over what they do. None of us like to have absolute control asserted over us, but a little levity, not levity, but a little bit of authority where we can channel direction gives us a sense of ownership in that role. So it elevates people's participation. The second thing is personalization. This is often overlooked. Next time you see a truck driving down the road and it's like it's an electrician or something, and it says Jim on the door on one side and it says Joanne on the other side, they're the owners. Well, we ran a test and we had an electrical company where it wasn't the owners driving those trucks, and we put their names on the trucks. When their names were on it, the trucks were maintained better, organized better, and they did a better job. That's a sense of personalization. Now I feel that I'm part of the business. Names is one way, hanging pictures on the wall of my family is another way. And I'll tell you this, there's a great indicator when people feel like they have ownership. When they say this is your car wash, they're not feeling it. When they say this is our car wash, they are feeling it. The last thing is intimate knowledge. That's the third strategy this guy, John Pierce, shared. And what intimate knowledge is the more detail I know around not just my job, but all of the elements that surround my job, the more I'll be engaged in my job. So how do the mechanics work? Maybe I don't touch the big rotors and all those systems going on. And pardon me if I'm not using the proper words. I don't really know much about car washes. I'm a many-time customer, first-time listener.
Perfect. That's all we ask for. That's
But
perfect.
but I will tell you this: if I work there, the more I know about the mechanics of the entire operation. If you just introduce it to me, the more I'll feel installed in the business. I'll feel more important to the business. Another little technique, and not all businesses are ready for this, but is open book finances. If I start revealing how the numbers operate and so forth, people may not care about getting deep into it, but the fact they have an awareness, they'll feel more like owners of the business. Here's a last little tip. You don't have to give equity, meaning actual legal ownership. You just have to give psychological ownership and we'll behave like owners.
Mike, does that kind of fall on the lines of too of like like from the idea of like accolades, like making sure that the team feels like they're winning with you? Like, would you say like, kind of sharing or praising accolades, like making sure that they feel like empowered? And how do you kind of connect those dots kind of at the next level?
Yeah, for sure. So recognition is a big thing. Interesting point here. Not all people like to be recognized the same way. Not everyone wants to be brought onto the center of the stage and saying, "Good job, Mark. You crushed it today." Some people prefer recognition in other ways. Maybe it's an act of service. You do something for them. Maybe you take care of their laundry at home for them by sending a service or something like that. There is a great book, I wish I wrote it, called The Five Love Languages. It was translated into business called The Five Languages of Affirmations or The Five Affirmation Languages. And what you can do is you can analyze your employees to see how they have to receive affirmation or accolades, and then make sure you deliver it that way. At my own little office, I'm actually at home today, but at our office, there's 18 of us. Next to everyone's desk, it has their favorite form of affirmation. And some people like acts of service, do something for me, a small piece of recognition. Other people like small gifts, a token, maybe a gift card for the local restaurant. And other people do like public recognition and words of affirmation. We make sure that we package that recognition specific to that person each time.
On the subject of training, Mike, so one of the things that ICA is really kind of prideful on, and one of the products that we've released here in the last 3 or 5 years has been a training product to really kind of empower and to kind of set the table for expectations on manager training at a car wash operation site. As you think about like how to empower them to know what's going on in the business, to be kind of an equal contributor from that perspective, how do you also then balance that with the need for them to grow and for wanting them to take the business to the next level with you?
There was research that came out of Google, and they identified that if we as employees do the work we love to do 20% of the time or more, we will love the entire job. Meaning, if one day a week, that'd be about 20% of my time, I'm doing a project I really love. The other 4 days a week, I'll do the grind that's necessary to support the business and I won't complain about it. Well, in the reality of any business, we can't always do what we love to do. But many employers ignore or don't consider, am I giving this person enough of that love opportunity? We have to ask them, what do you like to do here? Or what, if you could do anything, what would you like to experiment or play with? So we want to have a little bit of a playground. And it's interesting. You'll see they will elevate in that space, but they'll elevate in the other space too.
So let's flip the script. We've chatted about, people and how to build up from within and how as a business owner, how you might want to consider kind of setting yourself for success from a finance perspective. But let's think about customers, right? Because without them, clearly we don't have a functioning business and
Right.
we're certainly not successful if we're a business for no one. And so in many of our operators, I would say that their customers are their pride and joy, right? They care so deeply about how they feel about the experience. But one of the things that I know that you are going to be talking more about at the car wash show when you're there to kind of present is identifying your best customer. And I love that from your perspective, you're just like, it might not be the one that you think. It might not be the one that's paying you the most money. So unpack that a little bit for us.
Yeah, first I'll give you a real short line you can remember. Don't trust words, trust wallets. So monitor the behavior of best customer. You may actually have people say, "This your car wash is amazing. I'm super loyal. I'll always be coming here. I've come here for 30 years." And then you go on Yelp and they've given you a 2-star review because the last time there was a speck left on the driver's seat. Just because they say something doesn't mean they're behaving consistently with that. It's the people that show up again and again and again and demonstrate through their actions that they're loyal to you. But the second thing you want to look at is how much do you appreciate and value them? So you can just play this imaginary game. Imagine their car is pulling into your road, your driveway right now, into the entrance of your business. Are you excited? You're like, yes, they're back. Or you're like, oh gosh, not them again. And trust that natural instinct. We naturally provide a higher level of service toward people that we have a affinity toward. We naturally provide a lower level service of people that we want to avoid. And the classic example is if someone calls and leaves a message and say, "Hey, I have a problem, call me back," and it's a customer that you like, you'll call right back and say, "Hey, what's going on? What can we fix?" If a customer calls and says, "Hey, I have a problem, call me back," you're like, "Oh, I can't stand this person." You'll wait to end the day, find some way to avoid it. Maybe, hopefully, it goes to voicemail. So if we don't naturally like them, we will degrade our service, even if it's just subconsciously. It's at the intersection of customers that value you the most are demonstrating through their spend, recurring purchases, and you naturally get the excitement around. Those customers are your best. What I tell people is circle them on your list and then spend a little bit of time with them and find out where they congregate. Where do you hang out? You may find that your best customers happen to be young single parents, and you're finding that they value you because of the efficiency of your organization, or maybe because they're bringing in the toddler and you have a lollipop or something. Those people hang out with people just like them. Young parents with single parents with toddlers maybe are at the pool club or something. But if your best customers are geriatric people, they may be at the senior center. And once we know who our best customer is, we need to start concentrating our marketing efforts to that community. And then we'll get more great customers just like them.
And Mike, so many of our operators customers are subscribers. So we've got that built in, the implication of the wallet, right? So if they're a subscriber, the implication is that they're paying for that service. It's repetitive, but they can quit and they can cancel at any time. And that's one of the things in terms of like that retention that's so important is not just getting them in initially, but you said like doing the research to maintain that retention to keep them. So any kind of tricks or trade secrets that we can kind of help our operators understand as simple as possible, right?
Yeah, so subscriptions we all know are wonderful as the vendor because there's a degree of predictable revenue. For the customer, there is a pain point every time they get the credit card statement or wherever they're processing it. A annual subscription is only something that you have to face once a year, and therefore there's only one painful moment. A monthly subscription is 12 pain points. So either one they're experiencing pain. Now, of course, if it's a monthly, it's going to be a lower pain. But if the fee is $20, $30, they are looking at you versus the Netflix subscription and saying, can I afford both? And we'll make a decision. So here's how you circumvent it. Send some kind of reward mechanism right before the bill comes, usually a week or so before, and say, "Hey, we haven't seen you. Come in for the shop. Come into the shop so we can give you a nice shiny clean." Or say, "Hey, the holidays are approaching and it's travel time coming. Have the shiniest car, the cleanest car on the road," or whatever it is. But give some kind of reward or acknowledgement right before the bill comes. That offsets the pain.
Brilliant. Simple. Brilliant though, right? Even if it's a free chamois towel before they come in. I mean, it's just like the simplest things that are
Exactly.
wonders. You never know.
And another little tip that comes to you is you can instigate loyalty, people coming more frequently. No one loves anything in the world more than themselves. And that's not an ego thing. It's how humans are wired. Next time you go to a restaurant, some restaurants will have little plaques up that this booth is reserved for Kendra,
Mhm.
right? Since your name is there, what are you going to do? You're likely to go more often. And so a best customer becomes an even better customer. Take pictures of your customers next to their car when they got the nice shine on there, and take a picture of a Polaroid and stick it up there and say, thanks for being a loyal customer. They will come back more often because they want to make sure their picture's still up there.
All right, so our we've got about 9,000 of our closest friends coming to this trade show, and you will be there to share more of your wisdom and to just really what we're most looking forward to as the ICA team is for you to lift up, empower, and energize this group of business owners and get them excited to kind of be in the community. We've had kind of an exciting start to the year. There's been a lot of shifts in ownership, and there's been a lot of changes. We've certainly had a very interesting start from a political perspective in the country. So there's a lot going on. And so as you prepare to get up on stage and talk with our operators, just like what are some of the like a key tip that they can keep in mind as they're preparing to get into the show? Like what can they most look forward to that you're going to be sharing with them and to set them up for success as they're with their customers and their business partners?
Well, some stuff I'm going to share, I think will be profoundly simple, but also give you an entirely different perspective on how the business operates, how the business is perceived, how to improve your business. So easy stuff, but unexpected stuff. And I'll give you one right now. Of all the people in the world that want your car wash to be profitable, the number one person, hands down, is the customer. But they'll never say it. The customer will never say, "Hey, can you charge me more? You should jack up the prices." They'll never say that. But here's what the customer will say: I want to be treated as your most important customer when I show up. I want the best service you have available. I want to be cared for as if I'm your number one. Well, the only way to care for your customer is if you're sustainably profitable. Imagine you're the car wash that when a car comes in and says, "We're not making money. We're being destroyed here. I don't even know how we're in business. We can't afford supplies. Come on in." Customers would run away. So your customer won't say they want you to be profitable. They are thirsting for you to be profitable. We'll discover that plus other tips of actually executing on that when we're together at the show.
Wonderful. Well, we cannot wait to have you there. Like I said, we're thrilled that you're able to join us. I think it'll be a nice mix and a nice fresh perspective for so many of our operators again in this time of just a lot of activity.
Yeah, it's a turbulent market,
Yeah,
but with turbulence comes opportunity.
right.
Turbulence is just a vortex of powerful wind. Can we get our sails in the right spot and leverage this to our advantage? And I think we can.